the limited information that I've seen on the disbursement or the contribution from your regional partners has mentioned that, the word conditionality, but not really very specific on what those conditions are. I'm sure you can't give me chapter and verse, but the crucial point I'm trying to get to, because all of this lovely talk about fintech and everything is conditional upon there being a stable macroeconomic and stable financial system in this country. Are you now confident that that is in place, and that even if the oil price fluctuates, even if regional events continue to be unpredictable, that this country is on a stable macroeconomic path? I think that's the message I'm trying to get from you.
This issue of financial and economic stability has always been in our minds. Even during turbulent times of the financial crisis, we were very careful in driving a level of economic activities to maintain this objective. Even during the last few years where we have to go through a drastic drop in oil prices, the government meant to maintain economic and financial stability in the country. I think now we are entering a new phase where we have set the goals clearly on addressing the budget deficits, the public debt, and introducing some revenue-enhancing measures. As I said, I'm very confident that we are on the right track. To build on this new directives, I think we are putting in place the right ecosystem for the new phase of economic development of Bahrain.
So the core things like the peg, the currency peg, those are solid, yep. Because there was some talk that would be the fracture point. But you feel now that we can put to bed concerns about that type of thing. Other things being equal, even if the US Fed continues to raise rates later on in the year, things are pretty much on an even course. Is that correct?
Look, I want to explain how the peg works, because I found that there is some misconception about this idea. When we say that Bahrain dinar is pegged to the dollar, that means all our official transactions with our local community, be it the banking and the business community, is to facilitate a smooth transfers of funds in and out of Bahrain with no fluctuation.
Yes.
So when people talk that, the Bahraini dinar was quoted in New York or London at different rates, it doesn't matter for me. What matters for me is what goes inside the Bahrain markets. When any bank comes daily to my treasury and they request money to be transferred, I am ready there to offer them.
Yep.
And this has been the norm ever since I joined, or even before my time at the CBB. So the peg is the anchor of our monetary policy, and it will remain so. And I want to give assurance to the people here and to the business community that this thing is the key factor in our macroeconomic and financial stability in the country. Without having a transparent, stable exchange rate, I think we will have a chaotic environment that will harm the business in Bahrain, that will harm our FDI, and it will create uncertainty that is not good for the growth of the country.
It has been said by people in the past that Bahrain has too many banks, or has had too many banks. Where do you stand on the consolidation of the banking sector in the Kingdom of Bahrain?
The central bank has always encouraged banks for further consolidation because we believe in the new challenges that comes as a result of the regulations, that comes of technology, that comes of the market competition will require bigger and highly capitalized bank. And we started this process a few years back in the Islamic banking. As far as the conventional bank, we have very limited number of locally incorporated conventional banks. Although we have a number of foreign banks, but they are mainly branches.
Yes.
But overall, we are hopeful in both conventional and Islamic banks will have the opportunity to look into their future business plans and see consolidation as an option for them.
Now, do you talk, as a regulator, do you talk to your fellow regulators in the Emirates, into Saudi Arabia, about fintech? And how do you sort of balance being a competitor and a collaborator at the same time?
We talk, yes.
I know you talk.
And fintech now is becoming a feature of our agenda for the GCC governance when they meet. And similarly, I would say on the larger Arab conference for the governors. We are all in this learning curve.
Indeed.
I don't pretend to be the one that has perfected this world. So we learn from our experiences. So that's why we talk to each other. I don't see any harm in this, in each country trying to develop their own sandboxes and regulations, because at the end of the day, it will help the wider environments and the wider markets in the regions. And as we go around and talk to the regulators in Singapore or Hong Kong or London to learn from their own experiences, we might as well do it on the regional.
Have you? I mean, one of the headline initiatives in the region in fintech is the crypto, the Ripple-backed UAE Saudi cross-border trade currency, which is built on blockchain. Have you looked at that? Is it something that you might consider joining?
Well, we are looking now at the progress of this work because it's still at the proof of concept.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
I think this could open up to all GCC countries. You know that we have a plan in place now among the GCC central banks to establish a settlement and payment company that is based in Riyadh and Abu Dhabi, and hopefully this will bring more integration to the banking services in the region. And hopefully if this new concept proves to be very successful, I think it would be another venue for us to look at.
Good afternoon. My name is Jahan Zabawan. I run a consulting and RegTech company. Your Excellency, a couple of questions that we have seen create a problem in not only in the region, potentially globally. One is fintechs obviously need a bank at the back to be able to process a lot of the payments that come through their network. In the region, all of the fintechs are facing significant problems in opening bank accounts, mostly because the banks are de-risking SMEs, and AML KYC issues are a big concern. So in my view, I think that one of the biggest challenges we are facing here for fintech success is the banking support. That being one, the second part of the question is about RegTech. A lot of fintechs are coming in, and I'm sure when they go through your sandbox and other sandboxes, if they were to become successful and achieve scale, it is not possible for them to continue with the manual compliance and risk management process. So what are your views on RegTech, and how would you support RegTech to make sure that the success fintechs are having is sustainable?
Thank you for bringing this question, because this has been our experience, even with the regulatory sandbox. For all those companies that are trying their solutions, we found out that it was difficult for them to open bank accounts and escrow bank accounts with the banks in Bahrain. And we have thought about it, and we are working towards finding a practical solution to it. We are going to allow Bahrain Development Bank to start opening accounts for the startups.
Which can then at some future point be transferred to,
Yeah.
if as necessary.
So we are trying to find solutions so that the idea is we want to make the startup business or the startup operations as simple, as less bureaucratic as possible. Because we believe that the future is going to be with these startups.
My name's Lisa from Reuters News. I was wondering if you could provide us with a bit more information about the 10 billion funds that were given from your neighbours. How much has been dispersed, and what's the timetable for future dispersal? And is it conditional? Thank you.
Okay, I've said earlier that we have this fiscal balancing program that we have in place now. It has been shared with our partners in the GCC, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. And the agreement was, throughout this period, the government is going to address the major two issues that have been identified, which is the budget deficits and the public debt. And the plan was to reduce it over a period of time. The 10 billion will come to reinforce our efforts in addressing this. The first payment was made after the signing of the agreements last year. And I think the program will continue as we unfold our different action plans. I cannot give you exactly the timing because this is with the Ministry of Finance, and the timing will be in line with what we have agreed in the program.
Your Excellence, thank you for your time. My name's Kareem. I represent Mashriq Bank. So I just want to touch up on the local market developments, and specifically the new bankruptcy law that was rolled out 6th of December last year, and the live case that we have with one of the Mumtalakat downstream aluminium companies, Garmco. So from your perspective as a regulator, in light of the emphasis on asset quality reporting, IFRS 9, the new Basel regime, how do you see this case in terms of confidence for the banking sector in Bahrain? And the second part of the question is, if you think Alba taking over Garmco is a viable or an option that can be thought of?
Look, thank you for the question. I'm sure this issue of Garmco on the mind of many bankers in Bahrain. I think going through this first test of the new bankruptcy law in Bahrain is good because this will give us a live case that we need to understand. This is a new thing. The idea of establishing a bankruptcy law was to give the business community, the different companies, the breathing space to restructure and adjust themselves at a time of stress. So we have to wait and see how this bankruptcy or the protection through this bankruptcy law will evolve. I'm sure we will learn some lessons from it.